Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem, creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. It's July 2025. It's been a blessing to be part of this community, gathering friends from all corners of the world just to say good morning to each other, to say Boker Tov. Today, it is day 655 since October 7th. And I'm sure, as Penny will let us know soon, it is broadcast 1,350. There's a lot going on in our world. You find me on one of the streets on the Upper East Side on the way to work. It's good to see you, Linda and Deborah, Dale and Arlene. Boker Tov, with you. It's good to see all of you. Let's say good morning to a few more friends, and then we'll begin with a bracha and we'll learn some Torah. Sandy and Sharon, Emily, Boker Tov, it's good to see you too. Hi, Emily. Hi, Amy. Cecile, Hineni, with you. Let's take a breath, sing a bracha, learn some Torah. Here we go. Ya lai 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 lai, today I lai lai lai, today I lai 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 lai, I la lai lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah hafoch ba V'hafoch ba la'asok b'divrei Torah. Today I lie, 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 lie. Today I lie, lie, lie. Today I lie, 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 lie. I lie, lie. Good morning, friends. It's good to see all of you. It's broadcast 1,350. It is day 655 since October 7th. Linda is sharing it is her husband Larry's 77th birthday. What a gift. And Jerry and Arlene, sister and brother, often saying good morning to each other only on our broadcast, or at least primarily for our broadcast, are now upstairs and downstairs, both on the broadcast. It's good to have all of you here. Andrew is in the Atlantic Ocean, on the Atlantic Ocean, in between Iceland and Scotland. It's good to think about Hineni, here I am, when where we are changes. As for me, as you can see all around me, I'm on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. I was on my way to work, and here's where we find ourselves, and it is always a good place and a good time to learn some Torah. So a very quick piece of Torah from this week's double Torah portion, Matot-Massei. We read last week in Parshat Pinchas about the daughters of a man named Tzlofchad, 5 daughters who championed their own dignity and their own rights. Tzlofchad was a man who had daughters and no son, and in ancient Israel, that meant that his daughters would not inherit. Only sons would inherit. And they say that's not right, it's not fair. Why should our father's name disappear from the community? Why should we not inherit? And Moshe, being the wisest of all leaders, was wise enough to say what wise leaders say. I don't know. And he brings the claim before God, and God says, Kain dovrot benot Tzlofchad. They speak correctly. And the law changes last week to include women, daughters, having the right to inherit. Interestingly enough, in this week's Torah portion, some of that incredible change is undone. If you read the Torah portion Matot and the Torah portion Massei, which conclude the book of Numbers, you see that the ruling that favors the daughters of Tzlofchad, the daughters should inherit, is then called into question by members of their tribe. The tribe says, but if it's the case that women would inherit, then whoever they marry will inherit our tribal land. What then should we do? And some of the ruling is undone. In fact, in this week's Parsha, it says, yes, daughters can inherit, but they must marry within the tribe. And it's interesting, there's a comment written by Rabbi Jill Zimmerman, a dear teacher and friend of mine. she brings out a few different classic commentaries, including that of the scholar Rabbi Jacob Milgram, who sees that this week's Torah portion actually in some ways undoes last week's Torah portion. But read in context, it is important to remember that only because they championed their dignity did the law change at all. Because what if they didn't marry? They would still have the right to inherit. This undoes some of the injustice in the ancient world that would affect widows and orphans, orphan girls in particular. And so there is incredible progress in last week's Parsha, and there's a competing claim in this week's Parsha. It shows that individual dignity and communal welfare have to be a conversation. We have to think not only about the claims for justice that one of us makes, we have to think about the impact on the group. And what an important reminder for us that justice must be collaborative if it is to be just. Tonight, not a question of justice, but a question of mercy. We are going to, as part of UJA, celebrate a very important and complicated moment. There are children of fallen soldiers in Israel who are going to be celebrating their bar and bat mitzvahs, and we are going to be present with them tonight. I think of them as I read the story of the daughters of Tzlov and the commitment we make as a community to taking care of them, and that in this week's double portion, we commit as a community to holding on to as our own. It's not the same case, but I'm holding the daughters of Tzlov in my heart with gratitude, as today we will hold children of fallen soldiers and celebrate their lives. We will give them comfort. We will show them love and support. It tells me that not only are the individual claims of the daughters of Tzlov important, so too is the commitment of the community of their tribe in this week's Parsha to hold them close and to say they are ours. I know I'll be holding all of you as we hold all of them tonight. So, let's make a bracha of this moment. Let's sing, let's pray, let's send our hearts to the east on this 655th day since October 7th to remember what it is to hold community and to move forward together. All of that can be possible, but only if we make sure that we talk about it, that we lift each other up, and that we hear each other's concerns. Our hearts can be that big. Let's make sure that we send them to the east as we daven passionately, prayerfully for the release of our beloved 50 who are still being held hostage. Sing with me, friends. Kol hod balevav pnima nefesh Yehudi homiya ulefatei mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia Od lo avda tikvateinu Hatikva bat shnot alpayim Liot am chofshi be'atzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim Liot am chofshi be'atzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends. Bye.